No one is coming to rescue you. No one is waiting to praise you. If you want it, you have to earn it, silently, relentlessly, every single day.
You will hear people say it 1,000 ways. Follow your passion, be seen, get noticed. We live in a world trained on applause, likes, comments, promotions, flashes of recognition. We measure worth by the audience, and we pace our lives around applause. But there is another truth, quieter and harder and far more useful. Nobody cares. Not really. They have their own problems, their own stories, their own need for validation. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you turn inward to craft a life that doesn't depend on applause to keep moving. This is a story about one person who learned that truth the hard way. This is not a fairy tale of instant success. It's a story about scars, quiet mornings, small choices, and the relentless repetition that turns ordinary people into people who get things done. His name was Sam. He grew up in a small city where people knew one another's business. In school, he was average, enough talent to stand out only if you tried hard, which he didn't because he'd grown used to waiting. Teachers liked him but didn't love him. He had friends but none who pushed him. He drafted a life plan that included big headlines and big outcomes because that's what the world told him success looked like, a single dazzling moment that rewrites everything.
Sam believed if he built something worth noticing, people would notice. His work would be validated, and his life would be comfortable. So he spent energy on being seen, polishing the surface, crafting a persona he thought would be applauded. But applause is fleeting. It's easier to be loud than it is to be useful. People watched the show, and when the lights dimmed, they moved on. There was a moment, a small, ordinary evening that changed everything. Sam had quit a job he hated, convinced he would land his dream role within weeks. He polished his portfolio and posted conversations online. He waited for messages, for DMs, for the single person who would say, "I see you, we should work together." Weeks went by with crickets. He started to feel the weight of waiting, the self-doubt, the creeping excuse that the world hadn't been fair to him. One night, frustrated and resentful, Sam met an older man at a late-night coffee shop. The man had hands like pliers and a voice like worn sandpaper. He listened to Sam complain about a system that didn't see him, about people who judged too quickly, about the injustice of talent without reward.
When Sam finished, the man smiled without warmth and said something that felt violent and honest. "Nobody cares, kid. That's not a judgment. It's a fact. So work. The world will appreciate you or it won't. But the only person you owe an explanation to is yourself." Sam left the coffee shop angry and stunned. His anger had two faces, one that wanted to prove the man wrong and one that wanted to find a way out of the waiting. He could not unhear the truth. It lodged itself in his chest like a weight that refused to be ignored. He made a decision that night, not to be spiteful to the world, not to harden into cynicism, but to make his life answerable to practice rather than praise. That is the essence of nobody cares, work harder. It's not cruelty, it's liberation. When you stop worrying about who is watching, you can focus on what matters. When you stop measuring worth by applause, you can measure it by progress. Sam's first week of doing work for work's sake was awkward. He woke before dawn simply because very few people were awake to look. He opened his laptop and worked. No audience, no likes, nothing but the clack of keys. He practiced the craft, not the presentation. He wrote without polishing for the camera. He practiced design ideas in private. He lifted weights, not for Instagram, but to be capable. He read books because he wanted to know, not because he wanted to look smart. Small things began to change. The muscle memory of discipline built quietly.
Tasks he used to put off were finished in the dawn hours. He discovered a kind of dignity in doing things when no one was watching. Work for its own sake reconfigured his sense of identity. He started to define himself by what he did, not by what others thought of him. There's a dangerous myth that hard work alone equals success. It doesn't. It must be focused, deliberate, and consistent. Sam learned to work harder with strategy, not rage. He identified 3 pillars that kept him moving when applause was absent: craft, systems, and humility. These are what turned raw labor into leverage.
First, craft. Sam realized he had to be excellent at something specific, not a diluted love for everything, but competence in the field. He carved out a lane. If you want anyone to care eventually, you must be good enough that they will. Craft is non-negotiable. It's the relentless improvement of the smallest details. The person who writes one more page, edits one more paragraph, practices one more scale, that person will, over time, outpace those who only perform. Excellence is quiet. It's repetition. It's the page after the page that no one reads. Second, systems. Working harder without systems is like rowing without a compass. Sam built routines, morning work blocks, weekly reviews, measurable tiny goals. He stopped relying on motivation. Motivation is random. Systems are reliable. He automated decisions, his schedule, his meals, his first tasks of the day. That conserved willpower. When the alarm sounded, the path was already set. When others debated, he executed. Third, humility. The old man's "nobody cares" could have become poison, a reason to give up on community and isolate. Instead, Sam took it as a call to own his results. He stopped blaming external validation, but he also kept an open ear for feedback. Humility is the part of this journey that prevents arrogance. It allows you to be wrong, to learn, and to adjust. Months became a year. Sam measured himself not by applause, but by inputs. Hours practiced, drafts written, lines improved, weights lifted. These are the metrics that matter. They are boring and accurate. The world may not notice, but it is waking up to the reality of your daily work just the same.
There were setbacks, rejection letters, projects that collapsed, friendships that frayed. Those were the tests, the fire that refines. The "nobody cares" ethos doesn't make setbacks sting less. It makes you respond differently. When Sam faced rejection, he did not frame it as proof he lacked value. He used it as fuel for iteration. If your work is a product, then feedback is the user testing. If you want to be better, you adjust. There's a vital distinction to be made. "Nobody cares" is not an excuse for cruelty or for avoiding responsibility to others. It's an invitation to stop seeking validation and to take ownership. It's a lens that frees you to do the real, often lonely work of becoming better. As Sam progressed, small public results started to appear. Not viral moments, not overnight stardom, but steady, undeniable outcomes. A client who appreciated the quality and referred to more. A placement in a small but respected publication. A stronger bank balance that came from consistent saving rather than one enormous gamble. The applause, when it came, was real and grounded in substance. It no longer dictated his mood.
Let's pause and break down what you can use from Sam's story. If you want a life that doesn't hinge on other people's opinions, you'll need a toolkit. Here are the practical elements that Sam used, explained as clearly and as precisely as he practiced them. Number 1, morning work block, the invisible hour. Wake up before the world. The first hour of your day is the least trafficked by noise and opinions. Use it for deep work, writing, practicing, planning. Not email, not social.
This hour is your private compound interest. Number 2, non-zero rule. On any given day, do at least one thing that moves your project forward, no matter how small. When the day is hard, the non-zero keeps the chain alive. If you do something, even a tiny thing, you maintain momentum. Here's number 3, input metrics, not outcome metrics. Measure what you can control. Pages written, minutes practiced, cold calls made. Don't measure the number of likes, endorsements, or the irrational mood of others. Number 4, the 2-minute start. If a task feels overwhelming, start it for 2 minutes. That lowers resistance. Often 2 minutes becomes 20. Starting is the battle. Number 5, environmental design. Make good behavior easy. Make distraction hard. Remove the friction between you and your work. Add friction between you and your temptations. Number 6, the weekly audit. Once a week, review the inputs. What did you do? What improved? What failed? Adjust. The weekly audit keeps you honest without daily hypervigilance. And number 7, the quiet portfolio. Maintain a private work archive, a notebook, a folder, a digital drive. It's a record of what you actually did. When the noise gets loud, the archive proves your progress.
These are simple rituals, but simplicity hides their power. They create a life that becomes resilient to external moods. They help you be the person who will show up when no one has shown up yet. There will be moments when you feel the ache of isolation, when friends are celebrating big wins and you feel invisible, when your cousin posts a promotion and you are stuck editing another draft. Those moments are nails the world hammers into your resolve. Use them to test the mettle of your commitment. Ask, am I working for attention or am I working because I will not be satisfied with less? There's a second story worth telling because it contrasts with Sam and shows the alternative. Meet Tara. Tara was loud in her ambitions. She optimized for external validation. Her social posts were perfect. The imagery, the captions, the curated glimpses of hard work. People thought Tara had it together. They sent her praise. She collected followers like currency. But the inner ledger was empty. When a real challenge arrived, a business downturn, a health scare, the outer applause could not sustain her. She had become excellent at looking busy and at seeking signs of being valued, but she liked the quiet, private systems that hold a life together under pressure. Tara's story is a warning. Validation is a poor foundation. It's weather-dependent. Social proof can disappear as quickly as it appeared. The people who survive setbacks are those who built a private practice strong enough to outlast the applause.
This is not to say there's no value in community or recognition. There is. Validation can be a nice bonus, but it cannot be the primary fuel. Your main source must be inward, your standards, your craft, your personal scoreboard. When you work for you, you are less brittle. When you work for others' approval, you become hostage to fluctuations you cannot control. Let's talk about identity. One of the most powerful ideas Sam discovered was identity-based discipline. Instead of saying, "I will write 1,000 words today," he would say, "I am a writer." Identity shapes behavior. When you see yourself that way, even small actions align with that identity. If you are a person who trains, then showing up for 1 minute is consistent. Over time, repetition cements identity. The difference between a goal and an identity is that goals are finite outcomes, while identities are the daily patterns that produce outcomes. So build an identity that you can live with in the quiet. Choose small rituals consistent with that identity. Repeat them until they're no longer decisions. That is how discipline outlives motivation.
There's another hard truth. Working harder is not the same as working longer. The world respects efficiency as well as persistence. Sam learned to work smarter by focusing on high-leverage activities. He asked, what 20% of my actions produce 80% of my results? Then he cut the rest. Hard work without focus is noisy and unsustainable. Hard work with leverage is transformative. What about relationships, community, and help? Nobody cares does not mean you do everything alone. It means you cannot expect the world to carry you. Build allies, yes, but don't wait for them to validate your effort. Find mentors, seek feedback, hire coaches if necessary, but always do the hard part yourself. No one will build the muscle for you. Sam also learned to turn criticism into data. People will always have opinions. Some will cause damage. Others will be useful. He learned to ask the right questions. Is this person a user of my work? Do they have experience in this area? Is the criticism actionable? If yes, he used it. If not, he ignored it. That discernment saved him from the paralysis of trying to please everyone. At a certain point, small successes compounded into optionality. Sam had choices now. He could say no to a job that didn't align. He could invest time in projects that mattered. That optionality is the quiet victory of working for yourself. When you own your craft, you own your freedom.
There are moments in life that demand more than steady labor. Crises, sudden opportunities, emergencies. These require intensity. The discipline of nobody cares, work harder, prepares you to respond. If you have built the habit of showing up, you can scale up when needed. Think of your daily work as building a reserve. When the call to sprint comes, you have muscles to do it. Eventually, Sam was offered a project that could have been his big break. He did the work not expecting recognition, but because he knew what standards he owed to himself. The execution was excellent because he had rehearsed excellence in private. The project did well. People finally noticed. Some praised him loudly. Others continued to care little. But it no longer mattered. Sam's applause was now a byproduct. His primary currency was the quiet knowledge that he had honored his standards. If you are listening to this and you feel the sting of invisibility, hear this. That sting can be a compass. Let it point you toward the work that matters, not toward the spectacle of being seen. The world gives little permission to be patient, but patience backed by action is the most dangerous force in life.